The myths of market failure, how economists invent problems to solve themselves. 1. The hook. Here's a funny thing about market failure. Most of the time, it isn't the market failing, it's the economists. Somewhere along the way, the idea of competition changed from a lively, creative brawl of entrepreneurs to a sterile model of identical firms, perfect information, and zero friction. Sounds nice, right? Except in that imaginary world, there's no competition at all. So what does that actually mean? It means economists built a utopia, and then condemned the real world for not looking like it. And from that era came a gold rush of market failure theories that justified every new regulation under the sun. Footnote. The concept of market failure was born when economists began comparing reality to fantasy instead of theory to data. 2. The Nirvana fallacy. This is the classic move: compare a messy, human world to an imaginary perfect one and declare failure. If real markets have dirt under their nails, they must be broken, right? Wrong. Harold Demsetz, one of the few with common sense, called this the Nirvana fallacy, comparing markets to heaven and then acting surprised that Earth looks worse. The result? Entire academic careers were built on labeling imperfections as failures. But imperfection is the price of progress. Perfection is the sign of a dead market, or a bureaucrat's imagination. Footnote. The Nirvana fallacy replaces the study of markets with a worship of imaginary ones. 3. The birth of antitrust panic. When America passed the Sherman Antitrust Act in 1890, economists at the time, almost all of them, opposed it. They saw competition as dynamic and creative, not static. Prices were falling, output was booming, and innovation was rampant. In short, the market was working. So what does that actually mean? It means the so-called monopolists were the ones making life cheaper and better. Data from that era show those industries were growing 7 times faster than the rest of the economy. Prices? Down. Output? Up. Monopolies? Imaginary. Footnote. The first antitrust law fixed a problem no one had, except politicians looking for one. 4. The myth of natural monopoly. Ah yes, the tale of the natural monopoly. Supposedly, industries like electricity and gas could only sustain one provider because of high startup costs. The theory went, let government create a monopoly, regulate it, and everyone wins. Cute story, too bad it never happened. Early America was full of competing electric and gas companies. Cities like New York had dozens. Real monopolies appeared only after government stepped in, offering exclusive contracts in exchange for political kickbacks. As one 1890 Maryland law put it, monopoly came with a 25-year guarantee, and a tidy profit share for the city. Footnote. Natural monopolies were never natural, they were handcrafted by politicians and lobbyists. 5. The fable of the bees. Economists once claimed beekeepers and apple farmers couldn't cooperate, a market failure called an externality. Supposedly, farmers got free pollination, and beekeepers got free nectar, but neither could coordinate. The proposed solution? Government subsidies. Then one economist actually left his office, talked to real farmers, and found, surprise, they'd been writing contracts for decades. The so-called failure had already been solved privately. Turns out entrepreneurs notice profit opportunities faster than professors do. Footnote. The externality problem often vanishes the moment someone leaves the faculty lounge and asks a question. 6. The keyboard fable. Remember QWERTY keyboards? Another market failure myth claimed the world was locked into an inferior design. The proof? A better layout existed, or so said its inventor, who conveniently owned the patent. When researchers tested it, the results were identical. So what does that actually mean? It means consumers aren't irrational, just practical. Switching costs matter. And if government ran keyboards, we'd still be typing on 8-inch floppy disks. Footnote. Alleged path dependence in markets pales in comparison to the bureaucratic dependence of government. 7. Asymmetric information, the market's superpower. A Harvard economist once argued that used car markets would vanish because sellers know more than buyers. Yet 50 years later, used car lots still exist, now with warranties, return policies, and websites comparing every detail. Here's the twist: asymmetric information isn't a flaw, it's the foundation of trade. We all know different things, that's why markets exist. If everyone knew the same thing, we wouldn't need exchange at all. Footnote. Markets thrive on asymmetric information, governments drown in it. 8. The free rider mirage. The argument goes, people won't pay for roads or bridges if others can use them for free. Therefore, government must step in. History says otherwise. In early America, thousands of private road companies built highways, bridges, and canals, profitably. How? Locals invested for self-interest. Better roads meant more trade, higher property values, and community prestige. The only thing free riding was the myth that people never cooperate without coercion. Footnote. The free rider problem often solves itself when people see shared profit instead of shared pity. 9. Pollution in the socialist experiment. If profit causes pollution, socialism should be paradise. It wasn't. When the Iron Curtain fell, the world discovered ecological nightmares, rivers catching fire, toxic soil, and air so foul that Poland needed water cannons to clean it. So what does that actually mean? It means property rights protect the environment better than central planning ever could. When no one owns the land, no one defends it. Footnote. The dirtiest environments in history were those without markets, not because of greed, but because of ownership by no one. 10. The closing lesson. Market failures often vanish under scrutiny. They're not proof that capitalism doesn't work, they're proof that theory without observation doesn't. Real markets evolve, adapt, and innovate. The mythmakers just haven't noticed yet. So the next time someone says, the market failed, ask them one question: compared to what? Footnote. Most market failures are just economists mistaking life for a lab experiment.